I think it's really going to be a question of what does Ahmed get? Does he get multi-access? He knows how to navigate to not get himself killed. But a lot of times it comes down to making an educated guess on that cerebral overrider.
Right.
This is what these games often come down to.
Well, and real quick before we go into this, I think we should talk about the other matchups. Colby won his NEH game against Gabe, and Pacer won his non-noise game against Oosh. So Pacer's going to be playing noise in this round, giving him I think a pretty good shot at getting the winner's finals.
He knows how to play noise. This is for sure.
But here we'll see Jon keep already. So
all right, that's a good
sign.
So let's see what he likes. Yep, piece of ice. That seems good.
Mother Goddess, turn 1, seems strong against Kate.
And this is, in my mind, I think when you look at what prepaid Kate lost, I think Ottman is one of those underrated cards of, oh, well, stealth is really good.
Yeah.
But in a matchup like this where you just say, I don't have Parasite, I don't have Ottman, I have literal 0 answers in my deck to this card, you see the difference it makes.
Yeah, and so we're going to have to go through that same sort of dance. Does Ahmed know
Psychic Field, that is gross.
That his icebreakers are dead?
This could get ugly quick if Ahmed decides to check this. And I know he does. I know he does like to try and check remotes while it's cheap to do so, and here we go.
There it is. All right. So we're gonna
right out of the gate. Now, does he just have – he just has the 1. So, okay, so Ahmed, at least has a better than normal chance of not frying his entire hand on this.
Right.
So what do you bid here if you're Jon? Do you go to 0 to land this, or do you just bid 0 and hope he can play the mind game?
I don't know. I think you pay 1 if you're Jon. I don't know how much difference there is between – Ahmed paid 2.
Zuh? Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so Ahmed just taking worst of all worlds.
Classic Ahmed move. Can't win a side game even when it's a 50-50 shot.
All right, so Melange Mining Corp, that's a huge one because now Ahmed, I think, is going to be too afraid to run it, to check it. So he's looking to discard.
Wait, the Psychic Field's also still there.
Yeah, he didn't want to pay the trash cost. I'm not shocked.
I guess that makes sense, but now Jon can just trash it later, and it'll be a face-down card in Archives. So.
All right, so he's going. He wants to look at the hand, and we know there's a future perfect there. All right, so he's running again. I think he suspects agendas after that many draws. Oh, wow, nice. Good pull. Yeah. He is rewarded, and we know about the future perfect that's also there.
Yep.
So this is a great – Ahmed lost the Psychic Field, right? Bad opening play, but the fact that you've pulled points this early and when it's cheap, that to me is the most important thing. Now, again, the problem is R&D is shut out for the rest of the game. I mean, we know this.
Yeah.
Ahmed knows this, I'm sure, at this point. So I think at this point the only real path here, and it's not a great one, but I think he's got to look for that HQ interface and just – he's going to have to fight through a bunch of snares and shocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that that's not the Industrial Genomics matchup anyway, but it's a heck of a lot easier when you can dig R&D. And here's that hostile infrastructure that I love so much.
Going to get it out early. That's going to be really good.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Jon at the break. I just feel like that card is so overlooked and undervalued. And now that IG is coming back in a big way, I just feel like that's a card that people really ought to evaluate and test with. It just is absolutely devastating when you can't do anything about it.
Well, and that's the thing, is having it this early, having 2 of them this early, is a real economy tax on the runner as well.
Yeah.
Like we see Ahmed doesn't really have a board set up for anything. He hasn't seen any KDs or anything like that. And having to lose his whole hand, that turn 1, means if you take 5 credits off of him and a net damage, that's pretty huge.
So he's got the turtlebacks down. We've got the Melange Mining Corp. I look at this. Sealed Vault's not going to do anything in this matchup. So I imagine if he's... So he doesn't have to discard anything.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so this is a good find for Ahmed. I think this is honestly the best way to win. Yeah, pulls a future perfect. Wow. Very nice, very impactful. So what do you bid now?
0.
He has a propensity for bidding 2 from what we see, regardless of game state.
Bid 0 gets it.
Yeah, rewarded.
You're welcome, Ahmed. I'll take your buy.
Pro tip.
You win. Sealed Vault. Let's him keep it. Shocker.
So this is, to me, this is as good a start as you could really hope to have. So 2, Ahmed pays it. Yeah. So I think Ahmed kind of assessing how valuable this contract killer is or how much of a threat it is.
I mean, it's going to cost him.
I agree with that.
It's going to cost him a lot to trash it. So Neural and Sealed Vault. So now Ahmed knows his whole hand.
All right, and I think he realizes wisely that Silencer's not going to do a whole lot other than sit in the trash at this point.
Jon, think about what's put back, Cerebral.
Yeah, so we've got Museum online. That's key. But at the same point, if you're Jon, right, you don't have a lot of margin for error at this point. When you're down 5-0, having a future perfect stolen is very, very big.
Yeah.
He can't play the same game that we saw on stream earlier where you start to bluff out things and say, oh, if he steals it, if he goes after it, whatever. You're on the back foot now.
And both of those are ideal because now he can Hokusai HQ.
Yeah, that's
drop
big.
turtlebacks for economy. I think honestly he may be Jackson's again, and nope. Okay, so.
All right, so yeah, the Hokusai grid, totally agree. I think that's going to be big. Ahmed does have some money, but at this point, without having checked archives, that's going to be a 6 to trash Hokusai grid.
Yeah.
All right, so zaps him for a damage.
I think maybe it made more sense to Jackson instead of installing that next turtlebacks, so that you could discard more cards to make the Hokusai trash greater.
Yeah.
Now Ahmed can really definitely afford it. Like
Yeah.
He kind of has to.
I think he has to.
But if there are 2 more cards in archives, there's no way he trashes that, I don't think.
Yeah. I do not disagree with that at all.
So, it's a judgment call. Jon's played the deck a lot more than I have.
He's being pretty aggressive with his HQ checks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can understand why he wants to close out the game. It only gets worse the longer the game goes. I don't know that he's drawn so many cards, though, that I probably feel like he's that unlucky that he's got a handful of agendas. So it's interesting he's being that aggressive with his HQ checks.
Although, to be fair, what more does he really have to do?
Yeah.
I mean, the only other play Ahmed can really make is making money. And if he doesn't have money cards in hand, then he's got to draw.
Yeah,
for
that's
him,
right.
Which maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. So not sure on how many clicks Ahmed took there. I don't know if he drew or not. He's shuffling his card. It's too fast. And yes, whoever said click trackers is 100% correct. If you can't keep track of your own clicks, get click trackers. So Jon getting the turtlebacks online. Yep.
Again, we talked about it. Jon's on the back foot a little bit, but this is where he wants to be. He spammed out a lot of remotes, and at this point, Ahmed, with 3 credits, is not going to do much to check them all. And he's got 2 turtlebacks up. That's key. Museum of History's online, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. So I think Jon, at this point, the biggest thing he's got to worry about is Ahmed is obviously going to be aggressive with HQ, so he can't hold any in hand for very long. So he's really got to worry about managing his hand.
Yeah, and if Ahmed's going to be this aggressive on HQ, then maybe you drop Excalibur.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly fair. If he, to me, I mean, Mother Goddess being unique, it is where it is. It's exactly where it needs to be. But I think that he's going to have to do something to discourage. He's got to hope that he draws the right side of the deck, which in his case is snares and shocks. He's got plenty of them in the deck, and Museum of History will get him the Hokusai grids back. But he really does need to draw something, because you can't just, if he's one agenda in hand away from having Ahmed just relentlessly check it 3 times a turn, that's not going to last for very long. Ahmed on the other side, the Astrolabe's going to continue to do work for him. But does really need money. And as we talked about earlier, this is really kind of the downside of the stealth deck, right? There's just not a lot of raw credit solutions in the deck. And IG forces you to have a lot of money if you don't want to just give them their entire board full of museums and turtlebacks.
And speaking of turtlebacks, I think we just saw another one.
Yep.
So he's getting, maybe not. I think he would have read.
So yeah, Jon's got a nice economy engine online with these turtlebacks. And then Museum's just going to shuffle back in anything that Ahmed trashes. Yeah. But he's really got to just focus on managing his hand at this point. Yeah, and see, Ahmed just continues to go to the one place that it's safe.
I'm interested to see that he didn't install and res that turtle.
Oh, man.
That would be why, I
We've
guess.
seen the Neural EMP, too, so this is impactful.
Yeah, this is actually
All right,
huge.
again, Josh, what do you
1,
bid?
2, 3, 1.
Oh, so
I
we
would
are
have had
about
it.
to.
I'm just saying, folks, I would have had it. That's 2
We're gonna
side
lose a
games
big
in a
hand.
row.
All right, so
Well, he's also got the contract killer, right?
yeah.
Installed.
So this goes face down. You know, that's Psychic Field. This is where it's just such a nasty card.
Yeah.
And especially, I really like what it does in the IG deck because they're on such low money at most of the times that there are times when they just can't afford to play. You're at a point where if you bid 2 in a lot of cases, you can just win because they've spent all their money trashing your assets.
Yeah, there it is. He advanced his contract killer twice. And it looks like he wasn't. I had to look up the card because I was afraid he wasn't going to fire it.
Now, very good
no,
game.
he got it,
So,
yeah.
John, the IG deck, doing what it does, man. Just murdering face.
That's great.
Getting the neural, getting that in hand, getting contract killer in hand. Got on the back foot, but it closed really quick once he started to get his board developed. So, very impressive showing.
Anyone on the stream wondering, that's the kill.
Okay, so just showing us the method of choice for murdering Ahmed's face. So I appreciate that, John. I appreciate you walking us through that. The IG deck kills in many ways, and I think that's part of the fun of the deck.
Yeah.
Is it's very versatile in terms of the number of ways, whether it's letting the runner kill themselves on your psychic fields and then following that up with something, or Mushin noshing out a Cerebral Overrider and letting them select. It's just got a lot of ways.
I really wish he would run a single Junebug just for that reason.
Just to have it, yeah.
Because I think people will run into it enough that it can just win you a game outright on one turn.
It's a great card, and I'm very happy to see. I think it'll make the top 8 that much more interesting.